As women, you and I will contribute more to our organizations, more to our families, and more to our communities. When we show up to rise up, everyone wins. Well, hello, and welcome to the Success for Women show. I am Dr. Madeline Ann Lewis, your host, and my mission is to help women accelerate the path to success. Today's topic is going to be Lead with Civility. And my guest is going to bring you some great nuggets. My guest is Laurie Sayles. But before we get started, I just want to play a short video just to give you a little tidbit about Laurie.
Hi, my name is Laurie Sayles. I am President and CEO of Civility Management Solutions. We offer professional consulting services to the government. We are actually working right now inside of Health and Human Services, providing conference logistics work on several contracts, and some of them are congressionally mandated policies that are being put into place, and that is so exciting for us to be a part of that. We're also doing some work with the Air Force with conference logistics, overseeing leadership for everyone on the base, including the civilians and the military spouses. In addition to conference and logistics, we're working inside of Department of Homeland Security, doing facilities management, and that's awesome to be working with Department of Homeland Security because I'm not just a woman-owned business, I'm also a service-disabled veteran-owned small business because I served 10 years in the United States Marine Corps. Additionally, we do some work in financial management, acquisition support, and administrative support. Yes, we have a plethora of offerings. Why? Because I'm part of the 8A Small Business Administration Program, and it has been significant in the growth of Civility Management Solutions. And don't forget to look us up at www.civilityms.com. Thank you.
Wow, I'd like to welcome my guest on the show, Miss Laurie Sayles. Now, a couple of things she didn't tell you about herself is that she is an author, she's a change agent, she's a thought leader, and she's a serial entrepreneur, as well as being the president and CEO of Civility Management Solutions. And as she said, her company is an 8A woman owned, verified, service disabled, veteran owned small business, and she's headquartered near me, which is in Greenbelt, Maryland. And I also want to let you know that her company has received numerous awards since being established, and it was listed on the Inc. 5000 for 2020 and 2021, including being selected as one of 100 minority businesses in the Maryland, DC, and Virginia areas. So, welcome to my guest, Miss Laurie Sayles. How are you?
Wonderful. Thank you so much for asking, and I hope you can hear me okay.
Yes, I can hear
Yes,
you
this
perfectly.
is
I
such an
can see
honor.
you perfectly. Everything is just great. Thank you so much for taking time out of your busy schedule because I know that you're always on the move, always on the go, always moving and shaking and getting things done. So,
Yes.
appreciate you coming and just sharing some of your nuggets with us tonight. But before we get started, we always give that standard bio about individuals, but I just want to ask you to tell us what you want us to know about Laurie Sayles.
Well, first of all, I am so honored to be hanging out with you, Dr. Madeline, because you have been someone I have definitely watched to do great things. I love your posts and the things that you share to encourage us women to go and do what we're supposed to be doing so that we can show up, right? So
You.
thank you for being who you are to us. So I am a South Side Chicagoan that grew up in low income neighborhood. We call it the projects. And I was blessed to have mother and father and two older brothers in the home. And back then it was just life. And you just kind of go around visiting all your friends and then realize, there may have not been a father in the home. Not that that's a takeaway, but I also have to say, I think it's so much added value to who I am today. The fact that I had them leading me at a very young age of what I should and should not tolerate as a little girl that has stayed with me now as a grown woman. So that would be some of my fullness at times. People can be taken aback, but I was always raised, you don't just talk to me any old kind of way.
There you go. I know what you mean. Yes. Chicago, wow, great city. I'm
Yes.
myself, so I'm a Southern girl, So we all had that weather going on, that cold weather going on in Chicago.
I love my city. And I always tell people, I'm from Chicago, but I live in Maryland because I will never, just own my city. But
Right.
the winters there are brutal. And the reason I don't live in Chicago is because of the winter season. I joined the Marine Corps. You made a point of sharing that. And I was fortunate after I re-enlisted, they gave me Hawaii. So I lived in Hawaii for 3 years, and I was in my 20s, and I'm a
Uh-huh.
volleyball player. So I played a lot of outdoor volleyball. Every time you turn around, I was playing volleyball somewhere through as many days out of the year as possible because it was going on there all the time, tournaments after tournaments, and I so enjoyed it. But that weather is just so beautiful. It's breathtaking sceneries. And it's just beautiful. And I mean, after that, people are like, oh, Lord, you're going to miss Christmas, girl. You're going to miss that snow. I'm like,
Mm-mm.
and not in a little bit. I was enjoying my little shorts and flip flops and t-shirts. So I,
Right.
I love my city, but I don't particularly care for that frigid winter that it does offer. In the Maryland area, as you know, it's a little more tempered.
Yeah, absolutely.
A lot more
Sometimes
tempered.
yeah, you may get a little bit of snow, but it's not, you know, I think maybe one big huge snowstorm since I've been up, one or two since I've been up here. So it's not like you say that brutal.
Hmm.
But let I just have to ask you, as a business woman, what motivated you to even get into business? What motivated you to start your business?
Well, I've kind of always been an entrepreneur,
Hmm.
good and bad. I'm just fortunate to have lived through that life and come out on the other side. But I've been an entrepreneur all my life, with babysitting as a young girl. At the age of 10 or less than that, my mother allowed me, this is to show you the difference of days, allowed me to take the bus to
Hmm.
downtown Chicago. It was just one bus, straight ride down, so
Yeah.
I can go Christmas shopping for the family because I
Hmm.
didn't want anybody to know what I was buying them. And I bought that with my earned money as a babysitter. And then I
Okay.
got older. I started selling candy when we moved into our home. I became like the candy girl in the neighborhood. Then later on, I joined the Marine Corps and everything had to stop. As soon as I got out of the Marine Corps, I went back into some kind of supplemental income because I've never gotten paid enough money on a 9 to 5.
Okay.
Not to live the life I wanted and desired. And I wasn't even a six-figure earner. I had to start my own business to make that happen. So, yeah, actually, I had just about, I've always probably had six figures running, but just through supplemental income as opposed to on the 9 to 5 job that I had.
Hmm. Hmm.
So I've always been an entrepreneur. So getting involved with government contracting, I could initially like, well, how is it possible that this been here all this time and I didn't know it? Especially living in the DMV, as we know, it's federal government, so much of that is here. But immediately I got some understanding. I'm like, this is the wealth transfer.
Yeah.
All this hustling I'm doing of picking up all these little things to, make some money. Let me just put all of my all into building this company that's in the government contracting space. And it took 4.5 years. A lot of people can see me now and how they can do that thing. You don't know my story. You want to watch my glory. But it was a struggle. And I was determined to win, though. And I just deprived myself and kept it going. And after 4.5 years, now I'm running a multi-million-dollar business. And it is pretty fascinating.
Yes, it is. Wow. So, being a businesswoman, though, what are some of the biggest challenges that you
Mm.
or obstacles, I should say, that you face?
Dealing with people.
Yeah.
And most of us admit that on our jobs. We love what we do, but
Hmm.
the people that's around you that you have to deal with, a lot of people move and change jobs, not because they don't enjoy their job, it's
Exactly.
somebody on that job. So, hence the term civility
Hmm.
management solutions. I managed about 128 people, about 11.5 million in total contract value for another woman-owned business prior to me starting my own.
Hmm.
And I mean, just some of the things I had to deal with them, the disrespect. I'm like, do you not realize I'm attached to your increase? I mean, if you want an annual increase or a spot bonus, that's me. I don't know who you think you're talking to. So, and being someone that served in the military, I mean, the Marine Corps on top of that,
Hmm.
just the simplicity of basic respect, was kind of overwhelming for me at times, and I may have taken it up some notches just to let people know this is not how we're going to communicate. I'm your supervisor, I'm your manager, and this is how this is going to go.
Hmm.
Otherwise, you may want to think about getting another job before, they make a decision to do something else about
Exactly.
you being in your position. And hence the name civility came out of those challenges during that time working for that other company, that people need to practice respect. They need to be held accountable, responsible for their actions, and you need to practice some restraint.
Exactly.
Watch what you say. And we can be great on our jobs. And
Hmm.
in the government contracting space, the government personnel can stay on and pretty much almost never get fired, no matter who they are and how they act or behave. You just ship them around from one location to another just to get them out of your way. But if you're a government contractor, you can lose your job, just like any corporate America job or any other job that you can have. You can be fired, and oh, they're so good at what they do. Lori, we really like her a lot. She's so pleasant. But could you possibly send us some resumes for us to consider an alternative person? And because they know they can get rid of you. And
Hmm.
it's many cases it's their personality, that is not matching up, and
Exactly.
they can just replace you. So
Exactly.
Civility Management Solutions was to bring to the forefront the importance of who are you when you're at work. Are you being pleasant? I mean, nobody's asking you to do the overkill, but don't walk around being nasty, backbiting, trying to blame other people for your mistakes. All of those things are seen by everyone, and everybody's sitting there huffing and puffing about you, and then they just have to deal with you per se, or you
Hmm.
lose your job. Either way, is just doesn't add value to the workforce.
Absolutely. Wow. Now, I know that one of the topics that you speak on is about confidence. And we
Mm.
both know that you definitely have that confidence going on. I think probably being in the Marines, if you didn't have it, you got it when you went through the Marines, okay?
Yeah, no doubt.
Now, one of the things you say is that women should have a seat at the table even when we feel unwelcome. So, can you tell us a little bit about that? Talk to me about that because I'm all about women and get that table. Okay.
Yes, and it is so important that we get a seat at the table. And now that I have the opportunity to sit on several committees, to look around and see that I'm like the only one there that look like me, you
Yes.
know, um, or just still being the minority of the minority of being involved, and knowing that we have such a voice for our lives, how our friends and family are living amongst us that we're aware of, and no one's ever getting to tell those stories so that adjustments and change can be made on our behalf.
Mhm.
Real change, real serious adjustments from wherever you may be. So um, it does take confidence because you have to push through it because you're not welcomed. Let's just be real clear. You're not welcomed. And so hence going back to civility, you have to present yourself in such a way that people see you attractive enough. We don't need to walk around being the mad woman, let's
Mhm.
alone a mad black woman, which is already stamped on your forehead when you
Mhm.
show up, you
Exactly.
know. And so, despite that, and I have had a couple of incidents. I had an incident of a gentleman while I'm sitting at the head of the table with a lot of people in the audience, and he saw me and greeted me. I said, "Hello, how you doing? Hey, Laurie, how you been? I'm good, man. I'm good. Yeah, it's nice to see you." I said, "Yeah, it's nice to see you too." He said, "Yeah, you really look good on that porn site." Uh,
Oh no, he didn't.
yes, and now mind it, mad black woman about to raise up. Streets of Chicago about to raise up.
Mm-hmm.
Miss Marine Corps about to raise up. So, because I
Yeah.
ain't scared of no man. So I got this whole like, wait a minute now. Because I will take your head off with this part right here, my mouth. The Marine Corps taught me how to use this real good.
Mm-hmm.
But I ain't got to put no hands on you. I can take you down. Oh man, you play too much. You know what? Matter of fact, let me see if they sent me a check. So I'm like trying to play this off.
Mm-hmm.
I
Mm-hmm.
went to the bathroom. Praying, okay, I got this. And I went back out because I'm at the head table. So
Right.
that whole explosion, everybody would have seen, right?
Yeah,
Because everybody's getting in their seats,
Chris
little
Rock.
network going on. Yeah. And I got real close to him. I said, you need to not ever do that again. Oh, Lord, I'm playing. I said, no, 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 no.
Mm-mm.
Right now, we're talking about porn with the current president. So
Mm-hmm.
that's a common term. So what you need to not do is be saying that to women. Lord, well, I'm just saying. I said, this is not a joke. And nowadays, I got enough money to sue you. So you need to think about whether or not you want your company the next time you open your mouth and say something so foolish and sat down.
Been
But everything in me was like, ah.
testing you to see if he could get a rise out of you too. You never know. What I mean, he said that talking about a joke, but there was a purpose behind that. I
that
bet you.
is, it's just outright rude. And he wasn't like whispering, he just said it. And I'm
Yeah.
thinking,
Yeah.
stop it. This is what they call harassment. I
Mm-hmm.
can sue you. Get some understanding. And so, as women, that's trying to have some power and influence, there are things that you're just simply going to have to endure, but we have to endure it with grace. You
Yes.
know, then we got to do it with forgiveness because I don't hate him. When I see him, I still speak.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't let him get too close to me because I don't want to have to deal with in
Exactly.
case he want to say something foolish. If he
Right.
got to talk to me, come talk to me. But if you say something foolish, I'm going to address it. And that's what we have to all do, not just accept the mistreatment.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you accept it, that means they have a continuum of thinking the next one accept
I can do it
it,
again
next one accept it.
and
And I,
push the envelope a little further. Yeah.
yes,
Mhm.
yes, yes. But it is about practicing some civility with it. And I practice some serious restraint
I'm sure
with
you
that.
did.
And that's one of many. I know it is to walk into a room and they think I know what a Coke products, do you know whether or not they got whether Pepsi or what? I don't work here. Excuse me. My name is Laurie Sayles. I'm president and CEO. Stick my hand. I shake. I'm sorry. But you
Mhm.
assume
Right.
because a
Right.
black woman has entered the room that I got something to do with running this
Keeping or something.
conference.
Uh-huh. Wow.
Yeah, yeah, and they don't look nothing like me, and they men. So
Mm-hmm.
and they're I mean it's ignorance, and some of it is outright conditioning, and the history of this country. But we have to, as you always make it clear, we have to show up and make a difference
Yes.
in such a way that we get um, the respect that we deserve.
Absolutely. So as you've been in business as long as you have, and like you say, sitting at the table, do you see more women starting to come to that table, or do you think that they're still hesitant about doing so? Because I always say for whatever reason, we tend to doubt our own abilities, our skills and our
Yes.
abilities. And so do you see that they're still hesitant about coming and sitting, especially at the head of the table? Are they still taking those seats in the back or on the side, and so they're not visible?
Well, there's some that are showing up, um, but when they open their mouth, everybody starts to cringe a little bit. And so that's getting again into that one word, civility. You have to find that balance. And I was blessed to have the voice that I have from my mother, right? But I know how to turn that thing on when I need to.
Right.
But it also, you have to learn how to turn it and pull it back.
Hmm.
And because you want to be heard, you don't want to open your mouth when you really have something to say.
Right.
I mean, really have something to say. You got
Exactly.
to work hard at getting it to come out so people can hear you. And then sometimes your delivery just won't hit on point. I've had a recent incident in my life, and my communicate, it just didn't come out right because I anticipated that the persons I was talking to was going to have a remembrance of things, so I don't have to tell the whole story. And in the end, I needed to tell more of the whole story because it kind of fell, and it's like, and I'm like, that didn't go very well. And that evaluation is good, not to
Mm-hmm.
beat yourself up, but the evaluation so that we always do better. My pastor says this always, says this a lot to us: better is always available,
Mm-hmm.
no matter
Mm-hmm.
where you are in life. Better is always available. But that self-assessment, okay, how can I fix that? How can I do better? And so we have to make sure that when we do open our mouth, that we do it as best as we can, so people will be engaged in listening. Instead of going, oh Lord, here she go. And I'm a Marine, so one of my things is stop whining.
Yeah,
Don't
me too. I'm not a Marine. I'm Army, but I say the same thing.
Stop whining. Okay, because we open our mouth and there's a whole whine that came in. It's like, or some men would say nagging. It's like you got to start working on that and go, how can I improve that? And spending time listening, to people like you, especially because your goal is to coach and monitor people to help them get to that other side. And there's YouTube. There's a lot of sources now to
Yes.
help us as women. I mean, just watching the newly appointed judge, just sitting, I did some meditating on her a few times. I was like,
Oh,
yeah, let me receive.
trust me. Yeah.
Yes, like she stayed poised and just, but was a firecracker at the same time, right? She's a
Mhm.
judge, for God's sake, so she know how to shut it down, but she did it with such perfection for us all to sit
Mhm.
back and marvel at and be
Yes, it
happy
was.
and pleased with. So I would say that there's still not enough of us at the table. And just interestingly, I was talking with a gentleman last night, a Marine, SES level, and he's been SES since like 2019. So he's had a pretty good run already. But even though, and I'm sure you can speak to us, and please speak to us on this, there's a lot of education behind the women in this country. They're
Yes.
considered the highly
Yes.
educated, even within the Black community, they're very
Absolutely.
highly educated. But yet he made it clear to me there's still such a small percentage of women as SESs.
Yeah.
I said, I would have thought otherwise. I really was surprised.
No.
He said, no, actually, it is more Black males sitting in SES level seats within the government than there are women. Like, interesting.
And you know what? And because I did research on that, I interviewed 20 women that were
Hmm.
in this position in and around the Washington D.C. area because I wanted to find out how they got there, how they stayed there, the obstacles they faced, different things like that. But what the thing about that is that they're there, but it's that old adage that they feel like once I get there, I have to take on these male traits and I can't bring a whole lot of women up with me because then it's going to look too much like favoritism, and so it's like they're more closely scrutinized than their male counterparts,
Yes.
so they deal with all of that. And so, but yeah, you're right, there's not a whole lot of SCSers up there, women in those positions. There is still that way, and
Yes.
that is what I would like to really, see a change in. That is what I push women to do. If you want to get into those upper management or that C-suite, SES, then there are certain things that you need to know how to do. For example, what you were saying, when you're at the table, you need to know how to speak up. You need to know how to be visible. And those are the things that they have to learn. And they need to know how to deal with someone who comes up to them and make a remark like you said,
Inappropriate. Mm-hmm.
yeah, an inappropriate remark. They need to know how to deal with that because once you get there at that level, you're going to be challenged.
Yes.
The people in the room, somebody in that room is going to challenge you, and
Yes.
you have to be prepared for that.
It is coming. Like they say, it don't say if, it says
Oh, yeah,
when.
it's going to happen. I mean,
When,
like I've
but the,
experienced too. And same thing. A lot of places that I've been in, and a lot of times I'm sitting there and I'm the only one that looks like me. And so, but you have to Learn how to have. That's why I love the fact that you, when you talk about the confidence and that we have to sit at that table, even though we may feel like we're unwelcome, but you know you qualified to be there.
Yes.
So that's why you need to sit
Yes.
there. You need to sit there with your head up, knowing that you know that you know that you know. And
And
that's
that's so powerful what you just said.
yeah,
You know, you have the right to be there.
exactly.
You know, and us even understanding that worth, that we have the right to be there. Because again, I'm from the projects of the city of Chicago.
Yeah,
You
me too.
know, I mean, my slang out, you know, I had to train my mouth because speaking in four-letter words was normal.
Yeah.
Slang, normal communications. I still got my swag now. You understand?
You
You
know, but you know,
understand?
use it and when not to use it. See, that's the thing
Yes, you got to learn how to flow with it.
to be in. When I
But
come home, I know where I can use this and where I'm not going to use it. And like I tell people, even if I walk, you know, I'm going to the grocery store. There's a way I'm going to leave out my door to go to the grocery store because there's I, just when you think that you can just throw on anything and run to the store, you're going to run into somebody that's going to be looking at you like, oh, look at her, you know.
yes, and I see questions that's popping up over here in the corner for you. But I want to share that part about how we got to show up because despite our background, like you saying about yours and me saying about mine, that
Mhm.
better always being available. It's a purposeful effort to improve yourself,
Yes.
to polish yourself off and clean yourself up and clean up your mind, you
Oh my
know, about who you've been and where you've been and say, I know I can do better. You know, I want people to be proud of me. I mean,
Exactly.
put all those coats on and the hat, the gloves,
Mhm.
and go out there and fight for it. Because again, they're not welcoming you. You have to fight your way in there. And when you get in there, then there's this aha moment because
Mhm.
I would never have thought at this point I'd have been on the Hill 5 times, I believe it is now.
Tell me about it.
The
Yes.
Senate and the House of Representatives. Not me, not
Mhm.
the person that, you know,
Absolutely.
don't know how to communicate without cursing. Not me. The
Mhm.
person that don't know how to communicate without slang
Been
coming out my mouth.
there.
Not me. You know, because I'm not dictionary based. You know what I'm saying? I don't focus on it. It's just the words just come and they flow. I
Mhm.
pray and I
Mhm.
just believe that the words gonna flow. You know, and this is like scripture. Don't ask me where it is in the Bible, but I know how to tell you what's in there because I did my studies.
There you go.
So everybody's got their strength of how they get to where they are, but we
Mhm.
all independently got to tap into that and
Mhm.
strive for it and drive for it, and then watch the magic happen.
Absolutely. I'm telling you, and is you and the thing about it is you never know who's watching you. So you
Mm,
definitely always it's not that you
that's great. That's a good
so
point.
you just have to always be in the right mindset. You always have to have that positive attitude. You can't walk around with the chip on your shoulder and different things like that. Because, like you, I mean, I was put in situations where, I mean, I had to brief the Attorney General, Eric Holder. And can you imagine sitting in a room briefing this man on domestic terrorism? Come on.
Exactly, Mr. Staunch.
And but you know what made me feel so good is that because I knew that I had the skills to do it. I had the knowledge, I had the information. So when
Yes.
they came to me and asked me to go over there and brief him, then I was ready to do that. And believe it or not, when I got back to the office and I walked in the door, they must have called over there and told them how what I did because I got a standing ovation. Now you know when that happened, this is why I push women so much. It's like yes, you're going to get the butterflies in your stomach. You're going to have
Yes.
that, you know, you're going to feel sometimes when you walk in the room, oh my goodness, how did I get here? But you deserve to be there. So you walk into that room like you own the room. You know, don't go
Yes.
and shrink back. Don't go in there and let people take your interrupt you or take your ideas. So, you know,
Oh, I
it's just
love it.
I just that's why I said that's why I really like women are just you know my focus because I want them to see their worth, see their value, and know that if Laurie Sayles can do it, if Madeline Lewis can do it, you can do it too.
Exactly. Exactly.
We're no different. We're not all we're not that special. We
Mm-mm.
can do it, you can do it. Look where we came from.
Yes.
Okay.
Where are you from?
I'm from New Orleans.
Oh, my
Yes,
last name Sayles is out of New Orleans.
yes,
That's where my
ma'am.
father was from.
Look, just like you, Callio Projects. I raised in the Callio Project, but my mother made sure that you didn't let, where you are living or what your circumstances are, you didn't let that interfere with where you're trying to go or where you need to get to.
Because
So
you done lost your baby. I don't hear no baby coming out of you.
wallow in any self-pity or self-doubt. What you mean you can't do it? I didn't see you even try it. So she didn't play that. Oh, I can't. No. So this is why I say yes, you can do anything you set your mind to do it. It's all, success is different. I know to everybody, it means different things to different people, but it all begins in the head. It's a mindset too. It's a mindset.
Without a doubt.
Yeah.
And I know we're going to talk about my R3 nonprofit, but my Emerging Summit Conference, and it takes place every year, and this will be our third year. But it's all about that. What are you thinking? Are you thinking about what you're thinking about?
Exactly.
Instead of letting yourself go down that journey, and it's like 15 minutes later, and you're defeated, and you haven't even gotten started yet.
Yes.
In your head, it's like, stop thinking that you cannot achieve whatever it is, because you may not be someone like you and I that have had the opportunity to where our voice was needed, our thoughts was needed, our life story was needed to be told, and it needed to be heard so change can happen for others. Because it's and that's another thing. Let's stop being so offended. Oh my God. I mean, get offended about stuff, and you go back to the person, and you're around the person, and by chance, if you just ever get a chance to mention it, they half the time don't even know what you're talking about.
Don't even know. They don't.
And now they got to apologize. I'm sorry, because I had no idea.
Exactly.
We take offense, right? You have to take offense. And as women and being Black, taking offense is a huge detriment. Huge. It's not a little thing. That's a big deal.
So you and I we could probably go on and on for hours, but we need to take a break. We're gonna take a break for a few minutes, right? And then we'll come back and jump right back into this because I'm loving this conversation with you. Thank you so much for these nuggets.
I'm glad to be here.
You're listening to the Successful Women Show, and we'll be back in a few minutes.
What if you could build your own city? A place where every child can find nurturing people to help them achieve their full potential. A place where every adult can access job training support. Where health education is abundant. Where social justice ruled the land. A place without limitations. Welcome. You have arrived at STEM City, USA. It is what every city should be. A safe and trusted community where you find people and resources to help you become everything you are and beyond. STEM City is unlike anything you have ever experienced. It is a digital twin of the world around you, only better. STEM City is about energy and soul renewal. It is more than a digital world. You can almost feel the power of live cultural events, music, and theater. STEM City promises a better future for children with caring mentors and hands-on activities with dedicated tutors to support our youth. STEM City is your passport to a healthy lifestyle with weekly events addressing our community's many issues. STEM City is your financial well-being with helpful information on wealth management, career advancement, job training, and so much more. STEM City is the community you deserve. It is the city where your dreams can come true. STEM City USA, a place in the sky that is accessible to all who reach for the stars.
The Black Business Expo is changing my life. This year, they are giving away laptops and even $5,000 in cash to students just like me. I'm Alexis, and I want to go to college to fulfill my dream of becoming an entrepreneur. Help the Black Business Expo going to www.blackbusinessexpousa.com and also becoming a vendor, a sponsor, or donating.
Wow. Welcome back. My guest is Laurie Sayles. Again, you're listening to Viewing the Successful Women Show. We have been having an awesome conversation. And I tell you what, I am just so excited to have you on here sharing your nuggets with us. So, Laurie, I know that when we left, we were still on, the topic of talking about women and, their seat at the table and different things like that. And again, like I said, we could go on and on and on about. We can definitely go on about all of this, but I really want to ask you. I know that you do a lot of business with doing government contracting. So why did you decide to focus on that particular area on government contracting?
Well, having rules, regulations, processes, and procedures, being a veteran was a simple match for me, right? Mm-hmm. Because that's how we were trained up, right? To do what we do. And I saw it as the wealth transfer because we're talking about multi-million-dollar, contracts that become available for small businesses to be able to hire people, staff people, or provide solutions or products. Mm-hmm. So I'm like, hiring people, that part right there was what I loved so much about being a corporate program manager. Back then they called it just a project manager. Overseeing contracts was just hiring people to fit in a seat to do a job. And so to take all that information from working in that space and saying, okay, I got to get over here because I want to be able to provide people jobs. I want to be able to provide people opportunities. And so Civility Management Solutions, since I'm unfortunately unmarried. That's the other thing about being careful with your growth, ladies. Make sure that you're doing what you're supposed to do with your partner. Just please. And because at least when and if or should it come to an end, that it's not the result of you, but it's the result of their choice, whether it's jealousy, ego, pride, or whatever the male may be dealing with. That you've done your part in feeding and sowing into his life and adding value to him. So when you look at, this whole effort of wealth development, you have to get yourself involved with something where there is wealth. And, we have women that are in business. This is like 2016, a report that I saw. It's about 20 roles showing all these different minorities, Filipino, Japanese, Chinese, Korean, Black, white, Indian, and Puerto Rican and Mexican. And the national average for receipts of each of them. Guess where the African American community fell? I'm not going to give you long, but the bottom. Wow. In 2016, this was, okay, so it hasn't changed much, sad to say, but the average national revenue of a company that was owned by a Black woman was $27,000 and some change. And part of that is because we tend to lean in on businesses that don't produce revenue so that you can become wealthy. I'm not using that word rich. Notice I'm saying wealthy. It's a difference. And then the second part of that is that we don't support each other's business. Because to just give you a reference point, the Koreans' national revenue average was $299,000. Who's buying from them? Right? Beauty supply stores all over this country. Yeah. So $27,000 to $299, that's much of a joke. So we have to make sure that we are looking into not only being entrepreneurs, but being entrepreneurs and loving what we're doing, but being compensated well, offering jobs, not being a solo entrepreneur. Get yourself into things that allow you to open up jobs for others. So that is one part of me. But since I don't have children, I have family friend kind of relationships. Mm-hmm. And so I know people that are great, solid, determined, but they don't have opportunity. They don't have the well-being, the financial means. So 1936, Nigerian food truck was me sewing into a gentleman that loves to cook. I mean, literally. So he created his own food. Boom. I'm an investor in that. Wow. 5B estates, real estate, buying properties, renting them out is more of my thing than selling. And I'm growing in both of those areas. But I have somebody interested in beauty supply store. Mm-hmm. Guess what? I'm all in on that because of what I just got finished telling you. Ain't nobody trying to compete. We trying to take over. Because let's be clear, let's reverse the time. Because at one point in time, if we were buying products, we were buying it from a person of color, specifically another Black woman. We need to reverse that because we should not be sitting here feeding wealth into other people's hand because we don't want to buy from each other. And we must, like you said, with the jobs, we got the crabbing or whatever they call it, trying to make sure you don't go ahead and grow because I need to keep you down here with me instead of pushing, promoting, and say, go make it happen because they may be able to reach back and get you out the same pot. So that's the way we have to start thinking more like that. And so being in Civility Management Solutions with GovCon was the wealth transfer. It opened up the door for me able to be an investor, to buy crypto, to be able to invest in a seed investment in somebody else's business that's starting up, and I want to sow a seed. So when it really hits the big time over there, I got in early at $100, $200. Just buying gold, buying silver. All of those things opened up in my life because I started making sure that my circle of people around me equated to where I was trying to go. And I have others on my mind, not me.
Yes.
And so thought process of wealth is to be others minded. It is to be a giver. You don't want to get wealthy and it's all about you and your Louis Vuittons. It's like, stop that, right? I'm not telling you not to buy one. You know what I'm saying? But make sure you got as much money in your pocket. It's not bad. I'm just saying. Stick with the fake ones. Don't be walking around with the red bottoms on, and you broke and your feet hurt. So I mean, none of that make, and yet it's a part of growing up.
Yeah, absolutely.
That we have to do if we want better for our people. I want to leave a legacy. When I'm gone, I want Civility Management Solutions to be a representative of old money, which we don't have a lot of in our country, right? We live here, but we ain't got no old money. That's for everybody else because we sell out and all of a sudden, poof, it's all gone. Me and my family have all these wonderful things. Look at us. And you done left behind the wealth transfer for others to follow behind you. And so it was important to me when I got attached to this government contracting space, then I put on my big girl pants and realized what I was actually attaching myself to very quickly before the money even came. Making sure I'm attentive to my crowd. Another statement, you are who you hang around. You are who you hang around. Like I said, if you hang around 5 broke people, you're the 6th one.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And I was broke hanging around people that were millionaires. So sitting at my kitchen table, but I looked good. I was carrying myself a certain kind of way. And let me just say, it wasn't by happenstance that I improved my communication. When I was in college at the University of Maryland, University College is what it was back then. That was part of my relocation back to the Maryland area. I wanted to go to that school and get my degree. I was like mid to late 40s. And my, what do they call the counselor? She was looking over everything, kind of making sure I'm moving along just fine for my social science degree with a minor in strategic entrepreneurship and leadership. So I was in there a little longer. But bottom line, she's like, I thought your degree was in social science. I said, it is, ma'am. She says, well, you're taking a lot of English classes. It seems like you're an English major. I said, well, that's my weakness. Again, we have to assess ourselves and be honest, right? Okay, what do I need to do? So I was taking at least one English class every semester out the gate when I first became a student. And it added so much value to me while I was a student, because I did English 101 and English 102. I did all those things in the order that you should, so that by the time I had to write these real serious papers, I had English 101 and 102, some grammar I could pull from, instead of getting there and going, because you see as an education for adults. So people can think, oh, I don't need that. But yeah, now you got to do a show cause paper, and you are so out of order. As a professor, you look like you know all about something. You're like, who wrote this? You know what I'm saying? So I remember getting good grades on papers because of that. But I took speaking classes. I mean, I purposely did what I needed to do to improve myself. And so that was all in the journey of getting where I'm at today, not knowing then, right? Because I was not in the space of being a government contractor at that time. I just had a 9-to-5 job as an executive assistant and little hustles on the side. But wow, did it prepare me for now when I'm sitting here talking to senators, that I'm not nervous because I know how to communicate and be effective at it.
Exactly. Absolutely.
It's called training.
So if as a businesswoman, you've been in business for years, where would you suggest that a woman who's starting a small business, where would you suggest she start? How did you feel the first thing she should do? I mean, should she get certified? Should she try to build a network first? Should she try to get, find it? Where do you think she should start?
I would say exactly what I did. I went to SBA SCORE and told them what I was interested in. They matched me up with a mentor. I'm still a part of SBA SCORE today. Matter of fact, last month I met with another mentor that's been assigned because he's now retired. But they'll have a mentor there for you for whatever it is. And nowadays, thanks to Zoom, it probably doesn't matter what state you're in. If you want to open a restaurant, they'll get you a mentor that has opened restaurants. If you want to have a food truck, if you want to do government contracting, if you want to be a seamstress, I mean, it doesn't really matter. And they're there to kind of help walk and talk you through the basics. I mean, he started out simple as, Laurie, make sure you get an attorney and an accountant before you need one.
Okay.
Make sure you do your business plan. I mean, and I did the work. Then I went back and checked in. I always had my notes. This is what I've done. What's next? And he made a comment about that to me one time. He says, that's something that I can't say that everybody that comes to me do. You always write out what we have as instructions. You always report back and wait for the next set of instructions.
But that's a discipline thing. That's a discipline thing. And I know, I mean, I'm one of those people too. Anytime I'm going into a meeting or whatever, I always have a pen and a pad. How do you walk into somewhere and you're in a meeting and you can't take notes? You don't have an ink pen. What's wrong with that?
Showing up like you talk about. We have to show up.
Exactly. You never show up without, if you're going and walking into a meeting, walking in to get some information or whatever, and you don't have a pen and a pad. That's basic 101. Come on.
And the good news is that the Biden administration is working diligently to support women, small business owners, minorities, including the veterans. And so there's women business centers by SBA that are being opened up. More of them are being added throughout the country because they realized it was not enough of them as far as radius from where a large city even could be. So that would be another resource because these resources are free. Yes. And if you have to pay for any kind of training classes, it's a nominal amount. It's not expensive. Whereas, you got some consultants that walk in the room, I can teach you how to do A, B, C, D, and it's going to cost you $1,500. No, that we're not doing. That there's a lot of free resources. If you're a veteran, there's a veteran business, VBOX, Veteran Business Opportunity Centers, I think is what they're called. But the SBA resources are real. And if we don't utilize them, we really are to a disadvantage if you are a business owner. And they don't go away just because you're doing successful work. You can
Right.
continue to go and grow with them to learn what you need to learn, to know that someone's holding you accountable.
And they will walk you through, like with the certifications. If you want to get certified, they will
Yes.
help with that kind of thing. I mean, they're not going to do it for you, but they will definitely, review it or what have you, let
Yes,
you know
exactly what happened with me.
what you need to do or what you might need to change, what you might need to add, or what have you. Yes, good, great resource.
Yes. The only one I did mention, if you want to do government contracting, Procurement Technical Assistance Centers, PTACs. Now, they actually reviewed my submission for my service disabled veteran-owned small business certification to the VA. Before I submitted it, they reviewed it and gave me feedback. SBA Score Mentor, who I still have today, read over my 8A package. Add this, take this away. What about this? What about that? So exactly right. You still have to do the work, because who's going to tell your story better than you?
Exactly.
So you want to do the work. You want the reward of what you are accomplishing, because it's your business. It's your baby that you're birthing. So walking through that process and being patient. I sat for 4.5 years at my kitchen table as a grown doggone woman. I wasn't no kid. I was grown, had traveled and lived a life, and now I had to shut all that down and stay focused on the prize. How bad do you want it, right? But the resources are excellent at the SBA.
Wow. Yeah, now I've never tried to get the 8A certification, but I do know that having the certifications have definitely have worked well, and so glad that I did the ones that I have.
So the value add of them is that they're a tool in the toolkit.
Yes.
That's what they are for us.
Yes.
If you're a woman, if you're a minority, if you're a veteran, there's a tool in the toolkit that you can pull out and utilize for means or source of them to get to you if they want to work with you. But way too many of us get the 8A too early. It's a 9-year program, and if nobody know you, like you, and trust you, if none of that's happened, if people can't call you by your name when you walk in the room, you don't need to have the 8A.
You don't need it. Okay.
Because the direct awards, the communication of that 8A is coming out of taxpayers' money.
Right.
So they have to be mindful of that. So just because you got an 8A don't mean you can walk in and say, I'm 8A. Well, what do you do?
Yeah.
Let's start with what you do. And by the way, I'm an 8A firm. I'm a woman-owned small business firm. And I'm also certified as a service disabled veteran. That's all after the fact. Right. But you definitely, the 8A, it's been very disappointing to see the wealth transfer not take place for many of us that have gotten the 8A too soon, and it's 3, 4, 5 years are gone. They're like, I'm not getting any work. I'm like, well, who do you know in the federal government? What agencies are you talking to? What do you mean, what agencies? They just told me if I get the 8A, it would. No.
You laugh.
Yeah. And so now you're starting in year 3 and 4, developing relationships with people.
Yeah.
And so by the time you start getting awards, you're at the end of it.
Right.
So it's a business development program. So it's not just to get the contracts, but you take that money, you build your infrastructure. You take that money, you build your proposal writing. You take that money and you do what you got to do with it, hire people and all that great stuff, and make some profit. But it's a business development. They've opened the door specifically starting with the African American community. That's why the 8A program fell into place. Because nobody wanted us in any other way. So that president came up with a great idea. He said, well, let's give them their own certification.
Okay.
And now it applies to the disadvantaged community as a whole. But the initial insert, my understanding of what I have been taught by others in SBA is that they were trying to open the door for the disadvantaged community, specifically of us, that no one wanted to hire. It's like, well, let's give them another way to get in. Right. And so you don't want to miss the timing. So make sure if you're doing government contracting, hold off. And I can't say that strong enough until people can call you out and say, are you 8A yet?
Okay. Gotcha.
Are you on the GSA schedule? You don't need the GSA schedule if anybody asking about it. That means they want to work if they're asking those types of questions.
Right. Absolutely. Okay, so that well, I hope everyone was had their pen and pad, taking notes and listening to what you just said. So tell me, Lori, because we're almost coming up to the end of the show, if you had one piece of advice that you could leave with our viewers, what would that advice be, or what would your words of wisdom be?
Don't give up. Don't ever give up on what you've been called to do. If you know and you're knowing, like you said, you know you deserve to be in that room that time you got called in. If you know that about yourself or whatever it is that you've been called to do, then do it. And then when it starts to happen, know that the haters are there.
Yes.
So gird yourself up
Mm-hmm.
in your mind that you still won't allow anyone, and I do mean not one doggone person, to keep you from going wherever it is that you've been called to go and do. You
Absolutely.
know, so that's that. Don't
Wow.
give up.
Don't give up. Good advice. You've been listening to my guest, Miss Laurie Sayles,
I
and
so
this has
enjoyed
been
this.
the Success for Women show. Laurie, tell us how we can reach out to you if we wanted to, you know, just kind of get you advice from you, information from you. I know you have something coming up, your event.
Yeah.
Tell us how we can reach out to you.
Well, LaurieSales.com is the space where a lot of things that are there that I have a marketing strategist that takes care of that world for me. Anytime I'm speaking anywhere, like your show today was listed there, the book, speaking, any of that kind of activity is there. We have a YouTube page for people to kind of catch things like you do, I'm sure, for yours, Successful Women Show.
Mhm.
My LinkedIn page is great. It's Laurie Sayles, exactly as they have it spelled here. But for those things regarding reaching me when it comes to working in government contracting space, is Laurie, my first name, at civilityms.com. And that's civility, M for management, S for solutions.com.
Gotcha. Well, thank you so much for joining us tonight. It has definitely been a pleasure having
Yes.
you share your success nuggets with us, and just letting other women out there see that there's a woman out there doing it and that you can do it too. That's what this show is all about. Again, you've been listening and viewing the Success for Women show. We are here every Friday night at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Please make sure that you go to the channel and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Make sure that you share this episode with others. Make sure you, of course, like the episode because, again, we had some great nuggets tonight. And for those of you who would like to reach out to me, my email address is info@exwsi.com. And if you'd like to go to my website, it's www.exwsi.com. And while you're there, make sure you download my free 3-part video series on 3 things every woman should do to
Mm.
position herself for executive leadership. Again, I'd like to thank my guest, Ms. Laurie Sayles, for being here tonight. I'd like to thank my viewers and my listeners for joining us tonight. Come back again next week at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for the Successful Women Show. I'm Dr. Madeline Ann Lewis, your host, and my mission is to help women accelerate the path to success. Thank you again for joining us. And as always, be well and stay safe out there.
Bye.